So yesterday we have completed with competition, that is dissociative social process. So if we see, yesterday we have seen what are the different characteristics of competition. Today we will be seeing what are the role of the competition in social life. If you remember in yesterday's class, we have seen that competition arises whenever there is limited resources or scarcity of resources, competition arises. So, in the role of competition says that it also assigns status to the individual. When someone has secured top marks in the class, in the school, right, he will be the first ranker, or the one who has qualified the civil service examination. The top person will be given IAS, then IPS, then you will be having other services. So, like that, each and every person will be given, assigned a status when they win the competition, that is first rank or second rank, or first position, second position, depending on the state, depending on the race they have won. Source of motivation, right? To win the competition, obviously they need some sort of motivation. Provide social mobility. When there is competition, we can see that, uh, do you know what is social mobility? Yes, any one of you? What is social mobility?
Moving from one place to another place.
Yes, that's it. Moving from one place to another place, right? Or migration. We all are aware, if assume that if a central government job, someone has got a central government job, then the transfers takes place from one state to another state. So definitely they have to move from one place to other place. So provides social mobility. And also, if you take in the competition list, according to the promotions also, we can say that the vertical mobility, that whenever the person wants to get a promotion, there will be some sort of competition which is there. So here the position or the status of that person is increasing. Competition contributes to socio-economic progress, isn't it? See, whenever there is a competition, competition will be for a very high position. Whenever the person has secured a good rank, is he will be economically fit, and also socially he will be given respect. He will receive some sort of respect from the society. For example, we all are aware who is Narendra Modi, isn't it? He also has won the elections. And socio-economic status, we can see that his social status is so widely spread because each and every citizen of our country is aware that who is the prime minister of our country, or president of our country, or if you take CM of our Telangana, or if we are very much interested in politics, we know who is ruling different states in our country. So, like this, we can see that through the process of the competition, different people acquire different positions, and the socio-economic progress will also be there. Socially, they are known to everyone. provides new experiences. Obviously, when the transfers takes place, when they go to a new place, that can be a new company or that can be a new state or anything, that from that place or from that position we are going to have a new form of experience. Satisfies man's desire, right? See, when a person aspire to become someone, when he achieves that goal, his aspiration has been fulfilled. That is nothing but the man's desire to achieve that goal has been fulfilled. So these are the role of competition in social life. We have difference between cooperation and competition, right? So if you see, cooperation is also for a common end. Here, with the help of the group of people, the people can, what do you say, complete the task. But here in the competition, individual has to work hard and individual tries to monopolize the rewards. Competition is always based on combined or joint efforts, but competition can take place at the level of group and also at the level of individuals. Cooperation normally brings about, see, I have already done competition and cooperation, so there is nothing to explain. Just I'll read it so that you can have a glance of it. Cooperation normally brings about positive results. There will be no rivalry. Everyone is working jointly for to complete that common goal. It rarely causes loss to the individuals involved in it. Happily, they spend the time in the cooperation. But whereas in the competition, we see that can bring positive result. It can cause damage or loss to the parties or the persons involved. If the person has achieved the goal, then it is a positive one. He will be very happy. But think about the other person. Everyone can't get the seat, or everyone can't secure the uh, position whatever they want. Then it will lead to the depression or some sort of things we can see in that individuals. Cooperation is bondless. It has no limitations. One can go to any extent to help others. Right? If we want to help anyone with the cooperation of other people, we can definitely help the other persons in this society. Competition has its own limitations. It is bound by norms. Limitless and regulatory competition can cause much harm. Right? See, when someone is writing, when exam is going on, generally we see these jokes in movies. నువ్వు నా పేపర్లో చూసి రాసావు, నువ్వు ఎట్లా పాస్ అయ్యావు, నేను ఎలా ఫెయిల్ అయ్యానని ఉంటుంది కొన్ని. ఇట్ ఈస్ ఏ ఇన్ కామెడీ సీన్స్, like the person who has copied from the other person, he gets passed maybe with 1 or 2 marks. The other person may fail the exam or he may lose the rank, right? So it has its own limitations. It will make the person to suffer. Cooperation requires qualities such as, everyone will not cooperate, right? To cooperate, an individual must possess these qualities, that is, kindness, sympathy, concern, other mutual understandings, and some amount of readiness to help others. Competition requires qualities such as strong aspiration, self confidence, the desire to earn name, fame in the society, the spirit of adventure, and the readiness to suffer and to struggle. Can anyone explain this? Yes? Why there is suffer and struggle? I hope PPT is visible to everyone. Yes? Am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, we need to get prepared for the competition where we are rising with the other opponents. For,
Yes.
at that
And
situation, we have to suffer with the situations. For example, we are competing in an exam, so that we have to well prepared to attend the exam and to compete with the others.
others.
Hmm.
Yes,
For
that's
that,
right.
there is a suffer. It is there. We have to struggle with the
If they
topics, situations.
if they don't pass the exam, then they have to see the other side of the circumstances, right?
Yeah.
When there is self confidence, when they have the zeal to work hard, only then strong aspirations or self confidence will lead the person to succeed. They are not, uh, they will not be afraid of the fame or whatever the society blames them. Maybe if assume that if a person is appearing for civil service examination, I'll give you time, ma'am, just 2 seconds. Civil service examination, it needs some time, isn't it? That is the reason we can see that there are 4 attempts or 7 attempts which is given to the candidate to crack the exam, keeping the complexity of the exam into the consideration. So this they should not lose their self confidence, and also they have to keep aspiration to qualify the exam. Yes, ma'am. Gargisha, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I believe that this particular point do refer to certain things that whenever you want to, like you're competing to reach your target or goal. So there will be certain obstacles in your way. Some difficulties will arise.
Yes.
So you have to be ready to, overcome. Like you have to suffer definitely, and also to overcome. You have to overcome your sufferings and your struggle, and you have to fight for it. Then
Yes.
only you can reach your goal.
See, generally, when the student is appearing for some competitive exam, you can see what the advice is given is work for more than 12 hours and don't attend parties or functions. So they have to sacrifice everything in their life to achieve their goals. Cooperation brings people satisfaction, right? When assume that some cultural program is there, everyone will coordinate with each other and the function will get completed successfully with the cooperation of everyone in the in that college, right? Cooperation brings, and after completion of the program we can see the satisfaction and contemplation. But competition may cause satisfaction as well as dissatisfaction, anxiety, indifferentness, and uncertainty, right? Obviously, how well we have prepared for the exam, we will have some fear in our brain how the question paper will be, how we are going to attempt the paper, right? So with this we have completed with the competition part. Now coming to the next part, this is the last part of our social process. Conflict is ever present process in human relations. We see that always conflict is also present in our society, in our surroundings. It is one of the form of struggle between individuals or groups. Conflict takes place whenever a person or a group seeks to gain reward, not by surpassing others' competitors, but by preventing them from effectively completing. Do you remember where did we read about this conflict? Did we come across this conflict definition anywhere else? Any one of you?
Yes, ma'am. Conflict theory by Karl.
Conflict theory by Karl Marx, ma'am. That's right. Apart from conflict theory, uh, have we read about conflict in this unit, that is in the social process unit?
Yes, when we are competing for the resources, at that time, conflict arises between
Con-
individuals or groups.
yes, and we have also named that. Did we come across any word? Conflict arises after a process of. Okay, no problem. We will see. We will be coming across that in the next slides. You will recollect it. Definition: conflict may be defined as a process of seeking to monopolize rewards by eliminating or weakening the competitors. Whenever there is a competition, whenever there is a competition, there will be a conflict. Yesterday, we have seen an example of a movie where competition can also lead to a disruptive competition. That is, a conflict can arise when they want to monopolize the sectors in the business sector or whatever it is. Young and Mac. Conflict takes the form of emotionalized and violent opposition in which major concern is to overcome the opponent as means of securing given goal or reward. See, slow and steady wins the race, right? But nowadays, if you see, when there is a cut-off competition, definitely everyone wants to reach to that goal. To reach to that target, what people do is they also use the back gates, or they also, you might have seen in few movies where they try to kill other persons for sake of the position. Conflict, violent opposition in which overcome the opponent as a means to securing to a given goal or reward. Gillen and Gillen says that conflict is social process in which individual or group seek their end by directly challenging the antagonist by violence or threat of violence. Here if we see, we are aware that we are going to fight with the person whomever we want to fight. We decide it that today I am going to fight with so and so person for so and so reason. Sometimes it happens right or wrong. Do you agree? Are you people listening to the class? Yes. We have a good strength even today. Thank you. Please do come to the class daily. Okay. Conflict, different characteristics of conflict. Conflict is universal. Conflict is universal, right? Wherever we go, whether it is in the in India or in any other country or in tribal areas or in the uh, urban centers, we can see that conflict do exist. We fight with our family members also. We used to fight with our siblings when we were small. Now we see our kids fighting with one another. So some or the other sort of conflict will be existing in this universe. So we can say that conflict is universal. Wherever we go, With our colleagues also we fight sometimes, isn't it? With our friends, maybe it is not a very furious fight, but for some reason we may argue with them, right? Conflict is an universal process. Conflict is conscious action. Just now I said you. Competition is unconscious. We are not aware with whom we are competing. But conflict is something, it is known. Conflict is personal. With whom we are going to fight. Consciously, we will decide that I am going to fight with so and so person today. It happens, right or wrong? Please do respond.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
I will.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
ఓకే, మీరు వింటున్నారా లేదా అని నాకు ఒక చిన్న హింట్ అదంతే. Conflict is not continuous but intermittent. See, conflict is not a continuous process. If you see, cooperation is a continuous process, competition is a continuous process, accommodation is a continuous process, assimilation is a continuous process, which we have read in our previous classes. But conflict is not a continuous process. When we fight with someone, when there is a conflict, if there is a war taking place also, there will be some sort of agreement which will be made between two countries, and that war will be subsided. Maybe the problem will not go away completely, but there will be some sort of intermittent solutions will be taken out for that conflict. So conflict is not a continuous one, but it is intermittent. See, for example, I'll give you a small example. Like if you see in our house, if people are arguing for some reason daily, how the atmosphere of our family will be? Will it will be pleasant one? Yes.
No, ma'am.
రోజు గొడవ పడుతూ ఉంటే ఇంట్లో ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ బాగుంటుందా?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. No.
Isn't it? So somewhere there should be some full stop to that argument. Someone should get adjusted or accommodated. If you recollect it, we have done this by saying that conflict always lead to some sort of accommodation. Accommodation is nothing but some sort of adjustments have been done, right? So conflict is not a continuous one, but it is intermittent. Conflict depends issues, right? Conflict depends on the issue, what type of issues are actually going on. Maybe it is if there is always a quarrel between wife and husband, maybe it will lead to divorce. Or if what other examples can we give? Where if we have some fight with our subordinates or with the superiors, maybe we have some sort of conflicts with them, then that is a different issue. Conflict is conditioned by culture. Do you know there will be few people who enjoys keeping a conflict between other two persons? Have you ever seen these type of people in this society? Yes.
Ma'am, in our families
Yes,
only.
ma'am.
Kada.
Yes, ma'am.
Mother-in-law.
Mm, yes. So we find few people. So culture, it depends on the conditions. Conflict is conditioned by culture. Okay. On it depends. See, whatever our background is there, depending on that, whether we will solve that problem or we are going to add some petrol into that, depends on our culture. Yes.
True.
Conflicts.
Petrol, ghee, everything, ma'am.
Everything. Right. Everything. Conflict and norms. We have few norms when the conflict is going on, isn't it? We have some rules. No one has to harass, no one has a right to harass other person. If they cross the limits, definitely there are some strict rules are there. See, siblings will also fight, but to some extent we try to ignore it. But they cross that border, definitely parents will get involved into that, and they will start making them to understand the things according to the situation. Conflict may be smaller or it can be a larger. Like just now I have given you an example of a family, that can be a smaller issue. And if it is regarding to the nations, when there is a war taking place, now we can see a war taking place between Israel and Palestine, that is a larger conflict which is happening between the two countries. Frustration and insecurity promote conflicts. So why does conflict arises is because of the frustrations or because of some sort of insecurities which are existing. Okay, here I have given you the explanation also. So we will see. Already we have seen these things, like conflict is universal. It is present in almost all the societies. In some societies, conflict may be very acute and vigorous, while in some others, it may be very mild. Conflict is continuous action. Individuals and groups who involved in conflict are aware of the fact that they are conflicting, right? When we are going to fight with someone, we decide that today I'm going to fight with my friend or with my brother or my sister or with my colleague or whoever it is, with neighbors, whatever it is. So consciously we decide and we step into the conflict. Very much we are conscious that we are going to fight with them. Conflict is personal. When competition is personalized, it leads to conflict. I should definitely win this competition. We see generally in many movies, like the person who wants to win the race, he makes some tricks so that the other person will lose the race and he can win the race. So when the competition is personalized, we can see that the conflict is not continuous. It takes place occasionally. No society can sustain itself in the state of continuous conflict. As I said, even families can't sustain if there is a continuous fight taking place in the house. In the same way, no society can also sustain if there is a continuous conflict. Conflict depends on issues. Conflict may be rich and poor. Social class is nothing but depending on the rich, poor, middle class. Between the religious conflicts are there, social groups conflicts are there, political groups, different political groups fight for on the different issues. Result of changes in values, ideas, goals, and attitudes, etc. Right? Different issues are there. Conflict is conditioned by culture. It is affected by nature of the group and its particular culture. Conflict and norms. When conflict is infrequent and when no adequate techniques have been worked out, more violent and unpredictable sorts of conflict, such as race riots, are arise. Right? When we don't follow rules properly, when we break all the rules, then we can see that some sort of riot takes place between two groups. Conflict may be smaller or larger. Two individuals, families, classes, race, nations, group of nations. Frustration and insecurity promotes conflicts. Economic crisis unemployment. You can see unemployment is increasing in our country. Have you ever observed an unemployed person? He will be very much frustrated. Whatever you speak, he will get very irritated. Have you ever observed if anyone is there in your family or in your neighborhood? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Why others, ma'am? Ourselves will get frustrated if we won't get suitable employment.
Yeah, that's right, ma'am.
Earlier days we have done that.
Yeah. If you are underemployed also, then definitely we'll get frustrated or we'll get irritated. Unnecessarily we shout on others. Right? Economic crisis or unemployment, the fear of deprivation of love and affection may add to the frustration. It happens in the kids when there is lack of love and affection in the family. At that time also the conflicts arises. In extreme cases of this sort, one may even lose mental balance and even commit suicide. Right? So family should be strong so that suicides will not take place. This is a very big topic actually. We have done about suicides, right? Do you remember?
Oh no.
No,
Then we
we
have
have
done, ma'am.
no, we have done, Rahmat ma'am. You don't say no.
Oh, I forgot that. When we have done, ma'am, suicide?
Yes, Chandrika ma'am.
No, madam, even I too don't remember exactly.
You can't recollect it. Any one of
No.
you?
Yes, we have done suicide. It was Durkheim's theory.
Very good. It was Durkheim's theories. Can you name them if possible? Have you recollected, Rahmat ma'am?
Oh, ma'am, not yet. I'm trying.
You're trying, still you're trying. So if you
Well,
remember,
not in a vast way. Maybe you might have told
no,
in
when
short.
we were discussing
Otherwise, I
regard,
would have remembered. Otherwise, I didn't. I never skipped the class.
that's what.
Maybe how.
See, it was in the beginning classes when we were discussing about different sociological thinkers. At that time, we have come across
Yeah,
Emile Durkheim.
we have done egoistic suicide,
Yeah, very
altruistic
good.
suicide,
Yeah, very good.
then
Egoistic
anomic suicide, fatalistic suicide.
Yeah, that's it. Very good. I appreciate it.
I skipped that. I didn't
Maybe
attend the
we
class.
can have
Maybe
that class. So
some reason.
egoistic suicide is something where we can see that when the person whatever he wants, when he doesn't get it, egoistic suicides will be there. Or altruistic suicide is for sake of the country or for sake of others, the people will commit suicide. So these things we have discussed. So the suicide is a very big topic which we have discussed when we were discussing Emile Durkheim. Types of conflict. See, these are the different types of conflicts. Right? So we will see what are those. Corporate conflict, personal, latent, class conflict, racial, caste, group, international. Corporate conflict. Corporate conflict occurs among the groups within a society or between two societies. When one group tries to impose its will on the other, conflict takes place. Race, communal uprisal, labor management conflict. Right? Whenever there is some sort of disagreement between two groups, then at that time corporate conflicts will arise. Personal conflicts. Personal conflict takes place within the group. It is more severely restricted and disapproved than the conflict between the groups. That is, personal conflict is nothing but husband may quarrel with wife, student with teacher, friend with friend. Latent and overt. Conflict may be overt or latent. Latent conflict becomes overt conflict when an issue is declared and when it is holistic action is taken. What do you mean by latent? Do you know what is latent? Then if you know what do you mean by latent, you can understand this.
No, ma'am.
No, latent is nothing but it is something
Hidden.
which is hidden. Yes, very good. Here, latent is nothing but it is hidden. Latent conflict becomes
Okay.
overt that when it comes out, when an issue is declared and when hostile action is. Overt conflict takes place when one side or the others feels strong, wishes to take the advantages. Are you getting resound of my voice? Anita ma'am,
Yes,
can you
ma'am.
please mute? Class conflict. It arises between social classes which have mutually hostile and opposite interest. Class is rich and poor, where we can see that class conflict. In the beginning of the class, we have discussed it. Class conflict was explained by which sociologist? Already have named it in the beginning of the class. Karl Marx. So what Karl Marx has said? Do you remember the names of the two classes which he has named?
Yes, the capitalist class
Yes.
and the proletariat class or the wage worker.
Bourgeois or proletariat or
Proletariat
employee or worker. Very good.
workers.
Class conflict. Always there will be a class conflict between bourgeois and proletariat. Racial conflict. We all are aware of these things. Due to physiological differences apparently seen among the people, that is black and white. Race is nothing but color. Caste conflict. You all are more aware of these things. A sense of highness or lowness, superiority or inferiority, or holy or unholy, which some caste groups have developed, have been responsible for the caste conflict. Group conflict, political group conflict, social group, economic groups, or religious groups. International conflicts between two or more nations or groups of nations. It may take place political, religious, economical ideologies. What is the role of conflict? Fundamental social trait that is characteristic. Development of the society has been marked by continuous struggle. Society requires for its formation and growth both harmony and disharmony, and association and disassociation is required. We see that after the fight, we become more strongly attached to that person, or maybe we have resolved the problem, whatever was existing. Actually, see, in accommodation we have done, if you remember, arbitration ante enti, mediatory ante enti, we have done those things. Do you remember? Yes. One second, if the slide is there, I'll show you. We can also include those things here. Yes. See, arbitration, mediation, conciliation. Even this arises after a conflict, right? Whenever there is a conflict, you can add these things in your conflict part also, where arbitration decision is binding on the both the parties, while the mediation, people do mediation, isn't it? When there is some sort of conflict is taking place between two persons or two nations, other nations will get involved and they will try to resolve that problem. Arbitration is whatever the decision has been taken by the third party will be binding on the two other parties. Mediation is that it is not binding. The whatever the decision is taken by the other parties, it is not binding on the uh, other two parties, right? So that also you can include it. So that is what harmony or disharmony. See, these things you can just go through. That is competition and conflict differences. Competition is always rewarded by overtaking all the rivals, but possesses reward by weakening or eliminating all the rivals. It is conscious or it can be unconscious, but always conflict is a conscious activity. This is universal as well as continuous. But conflict is universal, but it is not a continuous process. It is impersonal in nature, but it is personal in nature. I have decided that today I'm going to fight with this person. It can be positive and negative. Mostly brings negative results. Whenever there is a clash in the families, we or in the nations, we can see that that bandage will be there for a lifelong. Joint activity in pursuit of common goals, weakening or destroying other competitors. They will have some cooperation to improve the other persons, but here they will destroy them. Conscious or unconscious, conscious in nature. This is sympathy, kindness, deepest emotions, strongest sentiments are heard here. The same thing has been repeated, universal and continuous. Mostly positive, mostly negative. Basic to group life, not fundamental. Right? So with this, we have completed with social process. One thing we are left over with acculturation. Yesterday we have done just 5 minutes. I will finish off this so that we can do with social control in the next class. Just give me 5 more minutes. Acculturation. Yesterday we have discussed this, if you remember. Right? What is acculturation? Acculturation can include acquisition of behavior, beliefs, and attitudes that are similar to those of major cultural groups. Acculturation can result in individuals who has accepted the social norms. This is important. See, acculturation is the process by which group or individuals adjust to new culture or environment. It can occur when cultural system of one group displaces that of the another, or when groups come into contact with one another. Acculturation involves learning and adoption of new behavior, customs, values, as well as retaining them. Yesterday we have discussed this. I'll show you the examples, whatever we have discussed yesterday. See, according to Berry model, whatever we have discussed in the above paragraph, model of acquisition, acculturation has 4 acculturation stages. That is assimilation, separation, integration, and marginalization. Assimilation we have already done. What do we mean by assimilation? Is the first step towards the acculturation process, or it is one of these strategies of the acculturation. Assimilation is when an individual adopts the values and norms of the host culture while rejecting their own culture, right? We have some culture which we have adopted from our childhood. When we reject those cultures and adopt the culture wherever we are staying, that can be in abroad, or if we are migrated from rural to urban areas, we have adopted the culture of urban society. So this rejecting our culture, accepting to the present culture is called as assimilation. Separation is when an individual rejects the values and norms of the host culture while maintaining their own culture. Why they have said separation is when we go to other countries, we have to adopt to those to the culture of those countries. But we see that we are maintaining still our culture. Maybe the people who are staying there may not accept our culture. Integration is when an individual adopts the values and norms of the host culture while maintaining their own culture, right? While maintaining our culture, when we are learning others' culture, it is called as integration. Marginalization is when individual rejects both their own culture and host culture. This is called as marginalized. Research suggests that integration acculturation strategies have most favorable psychological outcomes of the individuals adjusting to the host culture. So most of the people will get adjusted to the host culture. Host culture is nothing but wherever the people go, they try to adopt to their culture so that they can live happily. However, attitudes towards the acculturation and different culturation strategies available have not been consistently overcome. Right? So with this, we have completed with our social process. In next class, in this unit 4 itself, we have a topic called social control. We will be doing that. Okay? Any doubts?
Okay, ma'am.
Any doubts? Most of them have left, I think. Yes? Any one of you, do you have any doubts?
Ma'am, I have one doubt.
Yeah, please.
That is like when we compare, when comparison arises